If you guys are really us, what number are we thinking of? 69, dudes!
You already recognize young Keanu Reeves, and here's another Keanu Alfaro, who designed this knife, named after that movie and manufactured by Boker Plus. Hi there, knife people here, lady and gentlemen, and here it is. Here's Bill and Ted Operation. As you can see, I already done testing it, and it survived, and so did my hands. But more about that later. Let's take a quick look at the knife. So it's actually a multi-tool because here's your knife blade. It's a D2, and what I like about this one is they maximize the cutting edge because the blade is not that long. It looks like 2 15/16 long. And it's a pretty wide blade, 1 1/8 inch wide. And as you can see, it has a full flat grind. The thickness of the blade is right around 1/8 of an inch. I'm gonna call it 120. On the blade, there is a name Keanu. I don't know if it's referring to Keanu Reeves portrayed as Ted or Keanu Alfaro, the designer. The last name is absent. There's a model number 1077, and the steel marked here, it's D2. I'll jump ahead and I'll say it's one of the better D2 steels that I've tested to date, and it will become obvious to you if you stick around. It has a deep carry pocket clip. I call it super deep carry because it protrudes beyond the edge of the handle. And if you notice a little warp, as I said, I don't always appreciate when they protrude them that far out. I think it should be at most level with the handle, because if you use it in a way that you may find yourself using a tool or drop it, it will bend the clip. And you will see how this warp appeared in a later segment. Let me close this blade. And on this side, there is your basic, regular, standard profile laser blade. What I really like about this particular way to stove the razor blade, it doesn't require any disassembly. You just press down on this button, remove it, or reinsert it. It clicks in place, and now it's operable. What I don't like is you kind of lose the use of middle 1/3 of the blade, about that much, maybe even more. So you're going to only use a percentage, less than 50% of the cutting edge that's available on this blade. May not be a big deal for anybody because as a single position blade holder, and by that I mean, there you go. As a single position blade holder, you're probably not going to be slicing anything like this. It's more for scoring, box opening, and so forth. So as you can see, the operation is not bad, but it's not perfect. It's getting stuck, probably because I got it dirty while testing. So I'll leave this out for now and proceed with my review. This plate is brushed aluminum. It's sort of brushed and polished. Nice, bright, almost looks like steel, to the point where, oh, it is steel. Interesting, because some of the early reviews of this tool called it out as aluminum, but it is clearly steel. Yeah. Anyway, so brushed stainless steel by the looks of it. Nice pivot hardware, nice touch, machined pivot hardware. T8 here, and looks like T6 on the other screws. The pocket clip has this deep indentation here. It's not only for clamping to your clothes, but it assists you in placing the finger when you're pulling it out of the pocket, usually with the index finger. Single position clip, so it will allow you to carry it tip up, only on the right side. It weighs 124.5 grams or 4.4 ounces, 4.39 ounces, which is a reasonable weight for a multi-tool. Here it is compared with another inexpensive knife made in China. Similar blade length, almost identical. It has a little more cutting edge than the Rat 2. And here's an all-light $22 Oracle cutter with replaceable razors. So if you were to carry this combination here, which would give you very similar capability, that combo would weigh 124.2 grams, or in ounces, it'd be 4.3, almost 4.4 ounces. So basically, you're trading these two guys for this one guy. Now for the fun part. The movie Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure is about two, Californian dudes that are traveling through time in a telephone booth with antenna on top made out of, stripped umbrella carcass. And what they do, they go back in time and they interact with different historical characters. And so because of that, I am going back in time a little bit. You just saw the overview, but now I'm going to go back in time to show you what kind of adventures I took this knife on to date. I'll give you a couple seconds to realize what's going on. By now you should be cringing and going, is he really hammering that knife into a tree stump? The answer is yes. There'll be like 10 comments, the knife is not supposed to be used like that. And I say, what if your neighbor's house is on fire and his cat is in the house, the door is locked, and you need to use your knife to pry the door open? Would you not abuse your knife to save the kitty? Of course you would. And here's what I'm doing. I'm twisting the knife left and right, right and left, 20 times in each direction to see if I loosen it up or break it. I found it to be a reliable demonstration of overall durability of the knife's construction. And here I'm checking if any side-to-side play opened up, and the play is there, but very minimal. And now I'm checking how the blade still centers. What I never had a doubt in is an ability of a German company based in Solingen, Germany, to control heat treat process even on the blades made for them in People's Republic of China. So this knife acts as if it was specifically designed to dispel any doubt that a properly heat-treated D2 can serve you really well, even in the craziest, most inappropriate applications. This dead oak that I call the Tree of Doom has claimed the lives of 13 blades to date. And several of them, at least 4, were made out of D2. This one survives 25 strikes with severe prying left to right, unscathed. I was striking pretty hard, so as you can see, there's a little bit of a lock stick now. But once I unlock it, it returns to perfectly normal function. All right, that was most excellent. Let's get back to the present time. To be honest, I had a little chuckle when I compared Boker logo to the antenna on the roof of the telephone booth. If you too see the resemblance, please hit that like button. And since we're on the tangent, another thing I'm dying to know, and so if Keanu Alfaro is watching this video by chance, or anybody who knows him, I am dying to know if he was named after Keanu Reeves. You see, that movie was like iconic cult movie in the late 80s and even early 90s. And Keanu Alfaro is just about the right age to be named after Keanu Reeves. So I really would appreciate if anybody could chime in on that topic. I mean, do you see the irony? Keanu stars in the movie. Mom names her son after Keanu. Son grows up, creates a knife. Son names the knife after the movie. And then Laura Dern is like, Boker overprices the knife. The knife never becomes their bestseller. I mean, really, the MSRP is like $84, and majority of the websites sell it for 71 and some cents. I think $69.89 would be a perfect price for this knife, because it's a 1989 movie. And
69, dudes!
all right, all kidding aside, we talked about the good, which is this blade. We talked about the bad, which is overly protruding clip that can get damaged that way. And now it's time to talk about the ugly, which is what I discovered when I was doing this. Last weekend, my significant other and I were working on a deck building project, and we ripped some treated lumber. And I was trying to bevel up the edges a little bit. And as I was cutting away with my knife, after I was finished and went to put it in the pocket, I discovered this. The blade was released and started coming out. It actually did more like a 1/4 inch. Here is about 1/8 of an inch. But I find it very dangerous. So here's the culprit. The knob that operates the box cutter is convex. It protrudes into the space where your hand is when you're gripping the primary blade. As you can see, I'm right-handed. It closes and it ends up being right between my fingers. Not only that, even without a glove, and especially with a glove, I am able to compress this knob, which unlocks it. And then when I work with a knife, do some kind of work here, my hand can slide and expose the blade into this position. And sadly, I won't know it until I go to close the knife, and that's where it ends up being. Very unsafe. Am I saying you shouldn't even consider this knife? I don't know. You would have to be the judge, because I figured out a very easy fix, and I am shocked that folks at Boker Plus didn't think about it. When the knife is in my pocket and go to pull it out, my index finger ends up on this indentation of sculpting on the clip, but my thumb slides in, and guess where it is? It's almost always on this knob. And from there, it can actually inadvertently release it. And then when a knife comes out, I end up with an exposed razor blade. All right, let's see what we can do. So the plate comes off, and here's your slider. And the knob is attached to the sliding piece with a screw. So, all right, I took the knob off, and that's what it looks like without it. So I can sort of jam my finger or thumb in there and move it, and it locks and unlocks. So I could leave it at that. All right, this is what's going on. See, I can move it by hand, but when I go to, it needs to be in the front position. When I go to insert the blade, it needs to go a little lower, a little deeper to let the blade get installed. So I end up having to press it with something, and then it works and locks the blade. And now I can still operate the knife. Now it's not very pleasant because I have to jam my finger. So my options are, I could sculpt out a wider or deeper facet here around this hole using my file. Or I can ignore the problem and just use it like that, and when I need to change it, just use my ball pen or something like that. See, to replace it. And the third option is what I ended up doing eventually after trying this approach for a day, not liking it. I took the original knob and I slimmed it down as much as I could. I left a couple threads worth of metal there. Yeah, of course, the screw disappeared. There it is. Okay, so let me put it back in and show you what it looks like. All right, so with the knob installed, so it still protrudes. Let me make sure you can see it. It still protrudes about 1.5 millimeters at the highest point. I can insert the blade by pressing down on it quite comfortably. I just have to use my nail. So here it is in my pocket. It's locked. Going in the pocket, I'm gripping on it, and it still comes out. As soon as I took the box cutter apart again, I got this idea. I'm gonna try something different. So this is just a piece of cordage I cut off. It's synthetic cordage, so it will melt. And I'm going to feed it through this hole and melt the end. See how that goes. So I'm going to bring it down. When you do this melting and compressing, make sure you're moving the material toward the edge of the slider, not toward the middle. Otherwise, it will be interfering with the function. Okay. So now it's secured in this direction. Should probably cut it a little shorter. Almost. Right, so I'm gonna pop it about that long. And then I'm gonna start melting it, because I'm trying to form a knob here. Like a mushroom head. Okay, I'm going to flatten it, but not all the way. There you go. All right, that was a quick customization. Yeah, I think it's going to work now. Let's see. Will we be triumphant? There you go. Success. Okay, so I was not using any other tool. I just depressed that and it clicked in place. And is it running now? It is running now. I still would like to open up the facet here to have a better engagement, but this little red knob, I added maybe 1 millimeter height here and it does the trick. So now let's do the pocket test again. It's locked in place. And now I'm actually actively sliding the tip of my thumb on that knob and it's not coming out. I actually have to consciously press it hard in order to deploy the blade. And I can still do it, but not inadvertently. That takes an effort. So just to repeat myself, in the pocket, my thumb was sliding. See, I'm actually pressing it a little bit, like, you know, I'm actually pressing and it's not opening. Now I have to deliberately compress it and it will open and close. So I'll call it a success. I wish I found black cordage to do this, because that little splash of red, although, you know, it's a custom touch, you know. So now it's working. It's not anywhere where my fingers, when I cut with it, will intervene or open. So I can't even open it this way. I'm pressing pretty hard, as you can see, and it's taking a lot of effort. So it would have a very deliberate effort in this arrangement. So let's call it problem solved. And you know, let me know in the comments what you think of this rig.
So how do you feel about all this? Let me tell you how I feel. I feel that I like this tool. If I didn't like the blade, if the blade broke when I was stabbing the tree, or it came loose when I was prying with it, or if it cut, you know, when I was cutting that pressure-treated wood, it was like a monster cutter. If not for those reasons, I would have given up and I would just say, hey, you know, just because of the safety reasons, I wouldn't recommend this tool, Multitool. I don't sell knife for a living. I'm not affiliated with any company. I'm an independent reviewer and I like it that way. This way, I don't have embarrassing moments with some Chinese knife company sponsor. And this way, I can honestly say that my opinion was unadulterated by any sort of desire for profit. So because I'm ending kind of on the somber note, I am not going to put footage from the 80s movie anymore. I think I have a piece of advice to Mr. Alfaro. Listen, you know, I've been an engineer for like, you know, close to 25 years now. When you put your name on something, it says Keanu, and we know who you are. When you put your name on something, you're responsible from cradle to grave. People will judge you by what your name is on. So, in my opinion, you missed out. So, you know, take it for what it is. You're young and there's time for improvement. Don't rest on your laurels. Do better next time. Don't let anybody convince you that everything is just A-okay and everything will be just all right. I learned this lesson long ago, and I have to relearn it every time I step up in my career. So that's the wisdom for the day. Thanks for watching.